We've got Jordan Chariton, a reporter on the ground in Ohio. Definitely somewhere in Ohio. Jordan, where are you, and what's the mood on the ground?
I am outside John Kasich's rally location. Everybody's packed and gone. It was a G Golly event, and we got some excited Kasich supporters. I will say the ones we met are not unrealistic. A lot of them actually don't think that Governor Kasich could actually win. They feel that it's going to have to come down to some type of brokered convention scenario. But they want him to stay in because I've met many people here who sound just like you guys on the panel when it comes to Donald Trump. They realize he's a threat. They realize that he is tapping into the worst of what's out there, and they, in terms of morality, I would say, are more aligned with what reasonable insanity. I think you guys might have played a snippet earlier, but I did a bunch of interviews on both sides with Trump supporters, Kasich supporters, and it's night and day. I mean, you're going to have to get a bigger budget for Advil because my brain hurt after talking to the Trump supporters. It was something. I mean, I'll give you a little comparison. A Kasich supporter, her name was Kelly Kaufman. After Kasich spoke at a rally, she said the message was really great, inspirational, and it was just really neat to be here. A Trump supporter wearing a Hillary Clinton for Prison 2016 shirt called the Trump protesters morons who are only there because George Soros is paying them all. Uh, another Trump supporter said, "I think Trump is honest. We don't need Barack in office anymore." Excuse me, he said, "We don't need Barack in office anymore because he's a liar. He he can't be direct. Hillary Clinton is a criminal. Bernie Sanders is a socialist. He'll control the way we eat, the way we sleep, and the way we live."
Okay. Now, as I see those interviews that you're doing on TYT Politics, Jordan, of the Trump supporters, I begin to think, yes, I'm still worried that Trump could somehow miraculously beat Hillary Clinton by saying, hey, I donated to you, you did what I wanted, or she gets indicted in the middle of the election. All these are nightmare scenarios are totally possible. On the other hand, she could maul him because those supporters he has is unfortunately a solid 25 to 30% of the country. But it's possible that that's all he gets. It could be a historic landslide, right?
Right.
If it's Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, could be.
Yeah, and you look at the establishment Republicans. Many of them might actually move over to the Democratic side. The girl I just quoted, who was the more reasonable Kasich supporter, said, "I absolutely won't vote for Donald Trump." When I asked her would she vote for Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, she was a little, she was torn, but she said she probably would vote for the Democrat. Um,
Plus,
I,
they'll be the ones who stay home, right?
yeah,
That if you're a Kasich or Rubio supporter, I don't think you go out to vote. You're not going to vote for Clinton. So a lot of, especially the Rubio ones,
yeah,
and you're not going to vote for Trump. So you're going to stay at home. On the other
right,
hand, independents might vote for Trump.
yeah.
So hard to know. Uh,
I'll also note that one thing I think's gotten lost a little bit is that when you're looking at a Trump who obviously is he's got got fascist tints, I would say. It makes John Kasich seem reasonable, but this is still a one percenter whose policies would hurt the middle class. I interviewed his spokesman after the debate in Miami. His name's Trent Duffy, and he worked for the Bush administration. So I asked him, obviously, Governor Kasich is pushing a more positive message, but he's still pushing the trickle down theory and all this. He's pushing, tax cuts that will help wealthy people. He actually denied it. He said that that's not true. He said, let me get the quote here. He said he actually George W. Bush actually lowered the lowest bracket and took a lot of people off the income tax rolls altogether. When I pushed him on, claiming that all income levels got the same exact tax break, he continued to point out that a lot of people were pushed off the tax rolls. I cited statistics, didn't want to play. When I said to him, okay, well, if that's not true and the 1% haven't gotten enormous tax breaks, what what is the reason for such income inequality? Why is the concentration of wealth swelling to the top? He pivoted to a talking point about income inequality is an important discussion to have. Just for the record, I mean, the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, the Bush tax cuts over the period they were enacted over a decade, people making over $1 million a year got $110,000 each year. Bottom 20%, the after-tax income, they only got an extra $99 a year. So Kasich spokesperson saying it was all equal.
Yeah, well, $99 and $110,000 sounds pretty equal per person.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and by the way, if you never understood why people vote Republican, if you're a millionaire and you're going to save $110,000 a year on average, okay, now you know why. Okay, that's 110,000 reasons to vote Republican, no matter how crazy they are in other respects, and that some people just flat out vote their interest in that way if they're in that bracket. So,
Can I ask Jordan a question?
yeah, of course, Jimmy, go ahead.
Jordan, did you get a sense that anybody voted for Kasich tonight who was a Democrat? People are telling me that some Democrats were told to vote for Kasich tonight to stop Trump. Did you hear anything like that?
My anecdotal evidence is right next to me while I was in the bathroom. A guy was wearing a Democrats for Kasich shirt. So at least one.
So
There
maybe that's what happened in Ohio with Bernie.
So now remember, Ohio's an open primary, and so independents can go vote either direction, or you can switch parties. And and people perceive that Trump had to lose Ohio. Kasich had a good chance of beating him, so it is possible that people would have gone to vote for Kasich to make sure Trump didn't win. But no matter what the reason is, Bernie still lost Ohio. So
which Hillary Clinton communications flack was on TV before, saying that trying to pepper lower expectations, because I think they had different numbers internally, saying that they were citing that some Democrats who would normally vote for her might go over and vote on the Republican side. So even the Clinton campaign thought that was a possibility. I also think what played a part here was Marco Rubio a couple days ago essentially telling his supporters in Ohio to vote for John Kasich.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they might have gone for Bernie Sanders. Okay, maybe not.
Who knows?
No, I know. Okay, so I'm wondering, Jordan, you're outside of Kasich headquarters. Is that because they wouldn't let you in?
No, we were in there, but it was they're blaring, their patriotic music and such, so you wouldn't be able to hear me. We were in there.
Okay, and now you've been all over Ohio these last couple of days. Tell me the different rallies that you went to, both Democratic and Republican.
On Sunday, we went to Donald Trump rally right outside of Cincinnati. It should be noted, because I think this is very telling, Cenk. He was supposed to have a rally in Cincinnati. He canceled it and moved it to a white suburb. I'd say maybe 25 minutes outside of Cincinnati. One of the protesters we spoke to, which the video's up, we spoke with some protesters who were protesting Trump at the rally, told me, they were supposed to have the rally in Cincinnati and they canceled it the day before. Obviously a response to Chicago and the chaos we saw there. The Trump rally there was tame for a Trump rally. There was only one protester kicked out. But Trump was an hour late, so we had time to speak with people. There was one reasonable guy out of many that weren't. But Trump is essentially, in his speeches, the more you listen to him, I don't really think he's going to be moving to the center much. And that's what I had thought. I think he's really, really doubling down. And I think as the general election candidate, I think he might be calculating, I don't need Latinos. I don't need African Americans. I just need to awaken the sleeping beast of the white supremacists, to be honest. We speak with a lot of people who don't come out and say, we don't want Mexicans in the country, this and that. But you hear it in the way they say things, that they long for the days where, the white people and people like them were the norm. And we didn't have this culturalization happening. As opposed, we went to the John Kasich town hall yesterday, and it's like your Leave It to Beaver crowd. It was in Kasich's hometown, which is Westerville, Ohio, very wealthy neighborhood, by the way. and very, very white, I should say, as well. But Kasich gave his stump speech. He actually said a line that I thought was pretty poignant. He said, "I'm not going to take the low road to the highest office in the land," and he got a really, really standing ovation for that. He also talked to reporters about that he will have some things to say about Donald Trump going forward. Reporters tried to push him on, "Why don't you just say it now?" But Kasich kind of played dumb a little bit, saying, it's been brought to my attention recently, some of the many things he has said about women, pretending he hasn't heard it, and I saying he has 2 daughters, and this is unacceptable. So Kasich is going to pivot, and the Mr. Nice Guy Act is probably going to go away.
Well, okay, that's very interesting reporting, and we'll see how that makes a difference or doesn't make a difference. But right before you said that, I was about to declare Kasich done, because Leave It to Beaver ain't gonna beat this beast, right? and there's not enough Leave It to Beavers out there for Kasich to rally in a way that would make a difference. On the other hand, if he puts that aside and actually goes on the attack, now that the field is winnowed even further, I mean, at least maybe he's got a chance to keep Donald Trump to less than the majority. He's not going to overcome his delegates, but less than the majority, and then see if they can make a deal in the convention. So that's interesting reporting as well. Any Democratic rallies you went to?
No, we stuck to the Republicans this time. I did speak with Nina Turner, who was a former state senator, African American, who is a surrogate for Bernie Sanders. I spoke with her earlier at a really rundown part of town in Cleveland, mostly African Americans. So we spoke about how manufacturing has been kind of ripped away from that community, the trade deals. She spoke and really stumped very hard for Bernie. Very, very interesting interview. I hope it's still relevant, in terms of Bernie's performance tonight. But no Democratic rallies the last few days. It was mostly the Republican side. I will say, when you look at the Republicans at the Kasich event, I still think that if you look at it like Game of Thrones, I think you might see an epic, bloody battle for the soul of the Republican Party, and I think that might start with the establishment rallying around Kasich now, to try to defy Donald Trump of those delegates he needs at the convention. And I personally don't think the Republican lawmakers, Congress, have any issue screwing over the voters who voted for Donald Trump.
You're right. But, it's an interesting point about the last gasp of white privilege there with Donald Trump. There's a great article today about how for people who have that privilege, they feel that equality is oppression to them. Like, well, I used to be in charge, and what the fuck? I'm not in charge anymore, so I feel oppressed. Mm-hmm. And here comes Donald Trump to make me feel better about that. But that's not going to win the day in the long run. The question is whether it'll win the day in the short run, and that's what we're trying to figure out. All right, Jordan, good reporting from the field in Ohio as usual. Thanks for doing that, and thanks for the insight.